So in what was supposed to be the co-main event of the evening, Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson ended up getting canceled on the scales. So Khabib Nurmagomedov was around 6 pounds away from making weight. Ended up having some troubles. Wasn't able to make more. It sounds like he was having some organ failures, whether it was kidney or liver. I'm not entirely sure on that, but he went to the hospital, got checked out. Obviously was given an IV, and that fight ended up getting called off. He wasn't able to make the weight. They tried to save the fight last second by offering Tony Michael Johnson, but the problem with that is this was going to be an interim title fight with Michael Johnson coming in. They weren't going to make it an interim title fight anymore, so that was going to cut the pay of Tony Ferguson. If you're Tony Ferguson, you're spending all this time preparing for Khabib, a guy who's probably going to try to wrestle you the entire time. To go to switch to Michael Johnson last second is going to be tough, but then to also take less money for it, not exactly worth it. In the past, and obviously this is pretty memorable given the main event of this fight, or main event of the card is Tyron Woodley. Woodley and Johnny Hendricks had a similar situation where they were set to fight in what seemed to be a title eliminator. Johnny Hendricks missed weight. Tyron Woodley was granted the title shot, just waited for obviously quite a while, but eventually got that title shot in his next fight and was able to convert it to a title. If you're Tony Ferguson, if you can be given that title shot and not have to fight Khabib, that's huge, obviously, because Conor McGregor is holding the title, so that's going to be the biggest money fight he can possibly have. If they decide that they're going to reschedule this fight, which I hope they do, then again, that's what you prepared for. You're not taking a last-second chance. You'll still get paid in full for what that fight is worth, and ultimately, I don't blame Tony Ferguson one bit for not taking the fight. It seems like he's gotten a little bit of heat, but I don't feel like it's deserved at all. He has to do what's best for his career. This is the best move for him. It's the smart move for him. And there's really no reason why he shouldn't be doing it. As a fan, it sucks. You wanted to see him on the card, but I don't blame him one bit. As far as when they're going to do the rematch, that's where this gets a little bit trickier. So Khabib, being a devout Muslim, he always takes off Ramadan. Ramadan this year is going from the end of May to the end of June. So with that being the case, that means he's not going to be fighting during Ramadan, but it also means he's not going to be preparing during Ramadan. So if you schedule a fight that is just prior to it, which would be UFC 210, that's probably going to make the most sense. That could work. I don't know what sort of damage Khabib took during the weight cut, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how that all fleshes out. This was also something that Dana White had talked about. He was asked about UFC 210 in the post-fight presser, and he was saying he just needs to know more about what's going on with Khabib, and they'll see. So that option's on the table. I don't know if they're going to take it, but if it doesn't go to UFC 210, I don't see this being a fight that they're going to put on free TV. It's a huge fight. It's going to draw some money. Obviously, there's a lot of interest from Russia on it. So I would have to imagine that this is either going to be UFC 210, it's going to be pushed back really late, or they might just say, hey, look, Khabib, you missed your chance. We're going to give this to Tony. Because, again, if Khabib's not fighting before Ramadan, he's not going to be training during Ramadan, so you're not going to be able to give him a fight. Generally, if it's an 8-week camp, that means the camp's probably going to have to start after the end of June, so that could be, late August, early September when this match could be made, and right around then is probably when Conor McGregor is going to be back if he's not fighting versus Floyd. So again, as far as what they're doing next for these guys, it seems like I would hope that it's going to be a rematch, or that they're going to rebook this fight again. It'll be Tony versus Khabib, but there's a very real chance that Tony just got himself a free shot at Conor McGregor by Khabib missing weight, and if that's the case, that's going to be a really exciting fight. It's not going to be as big a draw as the Khabib fight probably would have been, obviously, because Khabib's got Russia behind him. Tony is more popular among the hardcore fans, but he doesn't really have a nation behind him. He doesn't have like a large group of people or a gigantic following behind him in the same way that Khabib does. But when Conor McGregor's fighting, people are going to watch regardless, and that's going to be a very exciting fight and a very interesting one. It'll be interesting to see if Tony decides to take a lot of chances on the feet and stand with him, and if he gets caught doing so, if he tries to wrestle him, and how successful he is in doing so. But either way, obviously you hope for the best for Khabib. Can you be angry at Khabib for missing weight? It's tough. Again, he's made the weight cut before. I don't know whether he was starting from a worse spot than he normally does now, if everything was normal and his organs just kind of gave out on him, whether he was sick. Obviously, there was the food poisoning issue that became a really big problem for Alistair Overeem, almost cost him his fight. I don't know if food poisoning was an issue with Khabib as well. That never really came out. Either way, hopefully next time around he's a little safer with the weight cut. makes weight, this fight happens, and we're good to go. And if Ramadan ends up becoming an issue, then so be it. Tony versus McGregor is a really good fight, and I can't wait to see it if that's the next one that comes.